The One Punch Man panel at Anime Expo 2025 ended with us receiving a grand total of absolutely fucking nothing. No trailer, no director reveal, nothing. And considering the fact that the show is set to air in 3 months, I think we can safely assume that One Punch Man Season 3 is You know, I said I won't talk about this show anymore unless we get something new, but sometimes you come across a situation so profoundly stupid, infuriating, and outright dystopian that you can't help but talk about it. Look, here's the thing, full disclosure, I planned on making a One Punch Man video this week. I planned on making an animation breakdown for the trailer I was all but certain they'd drop. Surely right, I thought, naive and clueless. Here's a bit of a behind-the-scenes look at how I make my videos. I usually plan stuff ahead of time, sometimes I'd even go as far as to write a part of the script before the topic of the video actually comes out. I did something similar for my previous video about Chainsaw Man, that's why I was able to publish it so quickly. Basically, I usually have a checklist of topics I want to cover and a predetermined timeline for the same, and according to said checklist, yesterday was One Punch Man Day. Never in my wildest fucking dreams had I imagined that they wouldn't have anything to show this close to the air date. My thought process basically went like this. Regardless of how fundamentally this production is, regardless of how last minute, how last second things are, no matter how little the amount of finished footage available is, there's no way they wouldn't have anything to show a mere 3 months out from the air date. Even season 2 with all of its issues released a proper trailer 3 months out. Surely this couldn't be any worse. I was absolutely certain that at the very least we'd get one of those 30-second teasers, and boy was I wrong. And that brings us to this video, an unplanned spur-of-the-moment potpourri of angry rants, doom posting, and speculation. Before we get to it though, did you know you can now become a member of this channel? You can. All you have to do is go down there and press the join button. Members get at least 2 exclusive videos per month, custom hand-drawn emojis and badges next to their name, personal shoutouts, and a bunch of other cool perks. Just a quick sneak peek, the next members-only video will be a tier list style ranking of every Studio Mappa anime based on their production value. So if that or content like it sounds interesting to you, you know what to do. Go down there and press the join button. But wait, maybe some of you don't want to spend actual money on YouTube content. That's fine too. You can just go down there and press the subscribe button instead. It is absolutely free and it helps out a lot. That's right, I'll guilt trip you motherfuckers now. Subscribe. Anyway, let's get to it. Where should we start with this fucking shit show? Alright, let's start by describing the entire situation very briefly, so those of you who don't keep up with this stuff, aka are happy in life, can catch up to speed. One Punch Man Season 3 was first announced back in 2022, nearly 3 years back. Sadly, it soon became obvious that production wouldn't start until much later. The team dropped 2 different pre-animated trailers since the announcement, and the existence of said pre-animated trailers heavily implied that no actual footage was available. Pre-animated trailers are their own separately produced projects and don't contain material from the actual show. Fast forward to last week. Anime Expo 2025 was underway and a lot of fans, myself included, were looking forward to the One Punch Man panel. It seemed like the perfect place to give fans their first actual look at the show, but as you know by now, they did not do that. Thus the doom posting. And that's the entire situation. Let's now address a bunch of schizo copes that fans are dishing out. Firstly, the idea that this entire fiasco is part of some elaborate 300 IQ Aizen Light Yagami all according to Keikaku f***ing how to manipulate like Ayano Koji 4D chess scheme employed by the marketing team. Basically, the idea is that the production is perfectly healthy, but the team is deliberately hiding footage just so they can surprise fans later. And if you believe that, please see a psychiatrist or an exorcist. A marketing ploy that centers around attracting unwanted negative attention towards an IP that doesn't need artificial promotion to be a success since it's already a commercial juggernaut is profoundly moronic. It's One Punch Man and it's returning after 6 years. That's all the promotion it needs. The second theory / cope is that the production isn't that bad, but the staff is making it seem like it is, as that would lower fans' expectations to levels the show can realistically surpass. I call this the Roderick from Diary of a Wimpy Kid strategy. And while this one is more believable than the last, I highly doubt doubt it's true. Again, that's negative attention being drawn towards a show that doesn't need negative attention. Here's another theory while we're at it. Maybe they just don't want to drop a trailer. Maybe Saitama at some point developed a sudden chronic case of social anxiety and doesn't want his face out there. After all, the trailer for season 2 was, let's just say it wasn't well received, and maybe they want to avoid that this time around. Well, that's just not true, is it? The team obviously wants to drop as much material as possible. Why else would they make 2 different pre-animated trailers? Why else would they drop character KVs constantly? They want to generate buzz by dropping as much material as possible. They just don't have the material to drop, or the material in question is so weak that they are hesitant to release it. Is that not the most justifiable interpretation of this situation? Look, fans love to cope, and a part of me can appreciate that blind, unwavering optimism, but it's important to live in reality. Back when I made this video nearly a year ago, someone commented saying that production started 2 months before the first pre-animated trailer, and the source for that was lead animator Kenichiro Aoki himself. And if true, that would mean the show has been in production for a year and a half, and has it now? Back when I made this video 4 months ago, someone commented saying that all of the storyboards and a chunk of the layouts were already finished, and again, the source of that information was apparently Kenichiro Aoki himself, despite the fact that Aoki is extremely professional and he would never reveal stuff like that on social media. And well, if a chunk of the layouts were finished 4 months ago, why do we not have any finished footage yet? I don't know, stay with me here. It's almost like people are misinterpreting tweets, subconsciously or otherwise, in an effort to cope. Look, I want season 3 to look good. If you watch some of my earlier videos about the show, you can see the optimism in my voice, but you can also see my optimism gradually go down with each video, because I live in reality. Now, the reason why I'm dedicating so much of this video to the what if it's all part of some big plan and the final product actually looks amazing section of this topic is because a part of me finds it difficult to believe that even the most incompetent of productions would be this poorly prepared, especially when handling one of the biggest modern IPs in the world. It's absurd. One Punch Man Season 2 faced backlash for its lack of production value in an era where that was uncommon. Sakuga awareness amongst the mainstream fan is a 2020s thing, but that didn't stop the casual fan from hating on the second season back then. Now, I do think that's unfair. Season 2 did look good as a whole, but the point I'm trying to make is that the show got hated on for its animation or lack thereof in an era where that was uncommon. As such, imagine what will happen when they drop a season that's visually weaker than season 2 in an era where animation awareness is at an all-time high. The season will get slandered into oblivion and the show will lose steam with every passing episode. And if that wasn't bad enough already, the staff involved with this project will face harassment and mockery online, which, by the way, if that's something you like to do, please consider jumping off the nearest tall structure and retiring from this thing we call life. Point is, it doesn't need to be this way. Sure, if all of this is part of some big grand gotcha moment, then great, you got me. I've been pranked. It's just your marketing team that's stupid, not the actual producers, but if not, then what the f are we doing? It's one thing to rush out a production as soon as possible, it's not ideal, but it happens. But why announce a project all the way back in 2022 only to then start production several years later? Why dangle a metaphorical carrot in front of the fanbase? Why give off the vibe that the team is taking their time when they very obviously aren't being allowed to? They did something similar for season 2, they announced it 3 years before it aired, but it's now widely known that the staff had to work with comedically short deadlines. Why repeat that? Like I said, season 2 looked good, don't let anyone tell you otherwise, but it could have looked better, and sadly the same can be said for season 3, at least I think so. Of course, they will drop a trailer at some point, and given the talent involved, it will feature a few cool cuts of animation, but please do not let that lull you into a false sense of security. This is not normal. Again, I hope I'm wrong, I hope I'm misinterpreting things and that the production is actually smooth, but that just sounds like wishful thinking. At this point, I wouldn't be surprised if this season marks the lowest point of the series in terms of production value, yes, even lower than season 2. Based on what I've seen, which is pretty much nothing, all signs point to this project being fundamentally and utterly although we can only be certain once the actual product comes out. I will cover episodes from this show in real time from October onwards, by the way, assuming it doesn't get delayed, which it very well might. And that's about it, just a bit of doom posting because realistically, what else can we do? Like and subscribe if you enjoyed, check out this bit of content, consider becoming a member by pressing the join button down below. Thanks to those who have done so already, shout out to Newt03 for becoming a tier 3 member, and until next time.